Mr. MegaManFan, and today on Genesis Does, we're going to take a look at Monster World 4, which was originally only released in Japan for the Mega Drive on April 1st, 1994. Sounds like an April Fool's joke, doesn't it? No, I guarantee you, it's real. So real, in fact, that it just recently got a remake on all modern consoles, but by most accounts, that version is garbage compared to this one. So instead of playing that one, I'm going to show you Monster World 4 on the Genesis Mini. Now I'll have the white balancing issue sorted out in a second when we get into the actual gameplay, but as for the camera itself, you may notice the picture drift down slightly over time. That's because my camera weighs more than the tripod holding it, so eventually it just drifted south. Thankfully, it didn't actually ruin the gameplay footage for the purpose of this video, and I felt like this was a more authentic experience than playing it through emulation on my computer. And sometimes, as Ryan has noted, that video actually freezes when I'm trying to render it. So at least if I do this in one take through the camera pointed directly at the TV playing it off the Genesis Mini, we won't get any frozen video or audio glitching. It will just be one solid continuous take of me playing Monster World 4 through the Mini. But of course you can put this on an EverDrive, or you can buy a physical version of it if you're so inclined, but that's not cheap. Loose copies go for $125, complete in-box copies go for $200, and brand new sealed copies go for about $600. So yeah, it's one of those games. That's what happens when you have a region-exclusive game in a popular franchise that a lot of people want. The price is going to skyrocket. The funny thing about that is, for me, this would actually be the preferable way to play, because instead of the game being entirely in Japanese, the version included on the Genesis Mini has already been localized into English. And of course, if you go into the settings and switch to Japan, the title screen comes up as Mega Drive, and you'll get the original Japanese version if that's what you really want, which in some cases is admittedly preferable. As we have seen with Contra Hardcore, the Japanese version was actually easier than the North American version, so by all means, switch your region to Japan when you play Contra Hardcore, but for me, switch it to North America / the United States when you're playing Monster World 4. If you've played Wonder Boy in Monster World or Wonder Boy 3 The Dragon's Trap, this should all feel very familiar to you. It's the same kind of game. You traverse the landscape, fighting monsters, scrolling left to right, or up and down as the case may be, and collecting coins and items, and then going to shops to buy more weapons and more items, all on a heroic quest to right what's wrong and save the world, or at least save your friends and family in the village that you come from, which is ostensibly the plot of this game. Your mom really doesn't want you to go. She's all boo-hoo, sniff, sniff. I can't believe you're doing this. It's such a dangerous line of work. But you're a brave young girl named Asha who gives no F's about that. You're going to go out there with your sword and take the world on, which is awesome to see. Female protagonists in games, need more of them. Need more of them in side-scrolling action RPG mixed games like this. And thankfully, in recent years, that trend has changed, but in the mid-90s, we weren't quite there yet as far as diverse representation in games. A lot of the protagonists tended to be male and even macho, so you had to dig deeper to find anything with a female protagonist in an 8-bit or a 16-bit game. Not saying there were none, just saying there weren't enough. Now, as I was about to leave the village, I got a reminder that I didn't have the Courage Crystal yet, so I realized I needed to go back and re-explore some of the village and make sure I found that before I left. And that turned out to be a very good thing, because I found several areas that I hadn't previously discovered going through a curtain in one of the rooms. So look around when you play this game. Not everything is going to be obvious or in plain sight. If something looks like you can talk to it, hit up, and possibly you can. If something looks like you can read it, hit up, possibly you can. If something looks like a curtain you can go through, hit up, possibly you can. Exploration is the key to games like this, and it definitely applies to Monster World 4. You will get farther and achieve more by being willing to explore. If you're playing this on Genesis Mini like I am, there are two different ways to save the game. You can, of course, pause at any time and create a save state using either a specific controller designed for this purpose, like the 8BitDo Genesis Mini 2.4, or you can pause the game and select it with a key combination and get into the menu and create a save state that way. So whatever works for you, but save states are an option on the Genesis Mini. And in the game itself, you will meet a mysterious figure who cackles at you and goes, "Oh ho ho, so you want to save, huh? Well, we'll be seeing each other quite a lot." And he will provide a save point that actually records a save file to the memory of your Genesis Mini. Or if you had the physical cartridge, he would save it to the battery backup on there. So you can do it either way. Obviously, I think the save states are more convenient because you can do them anywhere, anytime, and not just when you find the cackling mystery man. So I would even say in emulation, I wouldn't bother with the mystery man. I would just create save states right on your laptop or your RetroPie and not even worry about him. But he's there if you want him, if you decide to use him. Whatever you do, though, make sure you have this courage crystal before you leave the village. It's not just to give you courage or good luck. It's actually part of the plot of the game. If you don't have it, the place that you're going, you won't be able to find it. It's called the Hidden Palace for a reason. The crystal will reveal it to you, so take it with you before you leave the village, or you may just have to go back to a previous save state and find out what you did wrong, and that's when you'll find out that you do need it to make progress in the game. So scroll your way through the landscape, collect the coins, hack the monsters, and make progress. It just feels natural if you've played any of the previous Monster World, Monster Boy games. It's great. It's fun. It's, in fact, infuriating that this didn't come out on Sega Genesis in North America back in the day. I can't see any reason any fans of the previous series, whether they played it on Sega Master System or TurboGrafx 16 where it was under a different name, they would have loved this. This would have been a hit. At least to me, it would have been a hit. I don't know if they got cold feet because of the female protagonist and they thought Western audiences wouldn't relate to that, or they thought this was too late in the life cycle of the Genesis since they were getting the 32X on board and they were getting ready for the Saturn shortly after that, which of course proved to be very damaging in the marketplace to have both of those products so close to each other. People didn't want to invest in a 32X and then in a Saturn right after that, so it was one of many mishaps by Sega in the 1990s, but there's no doubt that this could have found a home because even after 1994, there was still plenty of Sega Genesis games being released, and eventually there was even a Sega Genesis Model 3 that was made far cheaper and far more readily available to people than was previously possible with Model 1 and Model 2. So as long as it was cross-compatible, and I think 99% of Sega Genesis games are, you would have had a home for a game like Monster World 4, and the only thing that might have suffered would have been the sound because different versions of the Genesis have different synthesizer chips inside, which is one of the nice things about the Analog Mega SG is it allows you to customize the sound for whichever version of Sega Genesis you had. I mean, most things are going to sound the same, but some things aren't going to sound exactly the way you remember them, so fine, tweak it until you get that perfect mix for the Genesis model you remember or the way it played on your TV or video monitor. And of course, by saying that, I'm also saying you can play it through either an EverDrive or a jailbroken Mega SG using the SD card slot, or again, if you really want to spend $120, the original cartridge. Go whichever way you like, but you can get a Genesis Mini and an 8BitDo controller for cheaper than the loose cartridge. And that's the same kind of thing I advocate on so many of these Genesis Mini games, like Mega Man The Wily Wars. You're getting the Genesis Mini and a controller for cheaper than a loose copy of that game, and you're getting 41 other games too. And once you have a wireless controller, the Genesis Mini really shines. It's not that it wasn't good to begin with, but being tethered to a cord just made the experience much more difficult because then you had to be a certain distance from the TV and a certain distance from the console and get everything just right. But Once you can put the console wherever you like and sit as far away from it as you want, then you can sit back and enjoy that experience in beautiful HD on whatever kind of TV you have your Genesis Mini hooked up to. This is a great game. It's a great reason to own the Genesis Mini, and even if you're not familiar with the Monster World series, you'll pick up on this one very quick. B to slash your weapon, C to jump, start to access the menu and equip yourself. Everything here will just fall into place naturally without you having to give it too much additional thought. I love games that you can just pick up and play and get invested in right away, and Monster World 4 is definitely one of those. I'm Mr. MegaManFan. This has been Genesis Does. Like, share, and comment to help the channel grow, and subscribe if you're new to the channel. We have new Genesis Does every Thursday.
Genesis Does. Genesis